The reason why I titled this video, He Took It For Us, is because as I was reading 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9, I didn't just see something prophetic, but I seen something beautiful. What I seen was a mystery of human struggle, where we are sometimes afflicted, but I also see that we don't endure the punishment. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Meaning, we may suffer just a little bit. We're probably troubled, but we are not humiliated or put down. We're perplexed, but not in despair. Perplexed. Sometimes we are confused. Sometimes we may deal with frustration, but not in despair. Means that we still have hope. Persecuted, but not abandoned. That means that we may be harassed, but we're not forsaken. Sometimes we're struck down, but not destroyed. Meaning, we may be knocked down, but we will not be defeated. In Isaiah chapter 53, verses 5, this chapter plainly talks about Jesus Christ. Even though the Jews may not see it that way, but as you read it clearly, that's all Jesus Christ, suffering servant. And not just Isaiah chapter 53, but you can also go to Psalms chapter 22. These prophecies is all about Jesus, and there's a lot more. In Isaiah chapter 53, verses 5, it says that He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon Him, and by His stripes we are healed. So you look at those three punishments that He endured, and in return, what we get from that. Number one, He was crushed, He was pierced, and He was whipped. And in return, we have peace and healings. Now going back to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9, we are pressed hard on every side, but He was crushed. We may be perplexed, but He was in despair. We have been persecuted, but it was He who was abandoned. We may be struck down, but it was Him who was destroyed. When I said that He was destroyed, mean being defeated, it's not saying that He actually lost. You have to go back to the first prophecy that was ever recorded, that was ever spoken from God. And you shall crush his head. He shall strike your heel. Him being struck on his heel was the markings, the beatings, the bruises, the defeat, the death. But a head being crushed, that's something you cannot recover from. We may be knocked down, but we will never be defeated because of what Jesus did for us. But it will never separate us from the love that God has for us. And in due time, we will be strengthened.